All right. Hey there, welcome to SharkCast, Potter podcast dedicated to the greatest sporting club in the history of the world, the mighty Cronulla Sharks. We are in season 12, which means it's 2026, year of the Shark, if you didn't know. And we are doing a short, sharp episode on the signing of Jesse Colquhoun. Thank goodness it's all done. And this short, sharp episode is brought to you by Dyson Logistics, the legends of the Royal Motor Yacht Club in Port Hacking, and Jason Hawes of Cripps and Cripps Real Estate. I'm Sam Shanazi. I'm an OG from 2015. On the other end of the line is Ben Harlum. He is a Sharks enthusiast, as he likes to be known, and he is all the way from New York City. Benny, how are you?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
Fantastic. Great to be back in the swing of things with SharkCast. I think we'll be getting on a regular run now. It's always a bit weird over the holiday break, but there's news coming in and lots of things happening, and we're going to be doing some other stuff which we'll reveal in the next episode. So I'm good, man, getting back into it. And speaking of things, Ben, coming up now, there is a trial match, one of two, happening at Henson Park, and it is going to be a massive day out. It is on a Sunday in February, and I've got the match schedule for you. Do you want to hear that, Ben?
I would like to hear that. That would be great, Sam.
Okay. So we have the first game at 10:30. Now, keep in mind, TBC, but this is the schedule. 10:30 in the morning, you can get there bright and early and watch the Harold Matts Sharks v Para. At midday, the SG Ball Sharks v Para. 1:30 p.m. And by this time, you might have had a beverage, you might have had some food. There is Jersey Flegg Sharks v Para.
Great.
Now we're getting serious here. 3:30 p.m. The mighty Newtown Shark Jets New South Wales Cup trial match against Para.
Mm-hmm.
And that leads you into 6 o'clock kickoff. The official NRL trial match, Cronulla v Parramatta. We imagine all the big guns are going to be out there. And that is what's going on. Now, it's presented by a company called Good Time Sports. And they're allowing the Sharks and Jets members to get their tickets early from the 22nd of January. If you're not a member for some reason, become one. But if you're not, 23rd of January is when you can get it. It's going to sell out. They're confident it's going to sell out. So they want you to get in early to get your tickets. It's the first ever summer beer, footy, food festival. And it's just going to be incredible. What are your thoughts on that, Benny?
What a great lineup. 10:30 all the way to a 6 p.m. kickoff for the main NRL trial. And first time that two NRL teams have played at Henson Park, in a while. I remember in 2020 when we were all talking about lockdowns and what was going to happen with the NRL, my harebrained idea, and I probably stole it from someone else, was that we'd play the NRL all at Henson Park and we'd all just be socially distanced in our cars and we could just all drive up like people do and watch the games like that. And that would be how we'd continue the NRL season. But this is now better because we can get out of our cars and you got a whole day ahead of yourself. That's fun. That's what we should be doing with the great grounds like Henson Park and stuff like that. That's how we should be taking advantage of that. And also, I never want the Newtown partnership to go away. It always pains me in the past when they've gone to like the Roosters or other clubs or whatever. The Sharks and Newtown, that's a partnership I want to stay forever. I love it.
And in case I didn't double down on it, it's Sunday, the 15th of February. The main kickoff will be at 6 p.m., as we said. So essentially from 10:30 to approximately 7:30, 8 o'clock, you got footy and you got Sharks footy, 5 grades. And there'll be plenty of food, beverage, fun to have for everyone. All that info will be coming. But if you're a member of the Sharks or Newtown, 22nd of January is when you can get your tickets. They're urging you to get them on the day. And if you are not a member, become one. But if you don't in time, 23rd of January is when general is on sale. So that's going to be a lot of fun. You'll be hearing more about that from us and from the club, obviously, and from Newtown Jets. But that is exciting. So that will be Sunday, the 15th of February, and main kickoff will be 6 o'clock, but they urge you to get there for all of the grades if you can. And that's going to be a fun one. Now, there was breaking news, Benny, yesterday, and the breaking news has been coming. Word filtered through before Christmas, believe it or not, that Jesse Colquhoun had signed a 4-year deal, but it wasn't made official until yesterday. So they may just sweat that out over Christmas and New Year. A lot of people were. I know that. A lot of our listeners, they were hammering me in the inbox, and I was like, just keep the faith. He's going to sign. He's going to sign. But we can now officially say a 4-year extension until 2030. Ben, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I was with the rest of the listeners, and I was pretty worried myself, just because I know Newcastle were going pretty hard for him, and then the allure of Perth being there, that was all of the sort of the punters outside of the Sharks bubble were all sort of tipping, okay, well, he might be a potential signing there. He'd be a really good one for them to grab. And then when I heard you on one of the more recent episodes before Christmas, sort of when you're confident at a re-signing or a signing, that's where I can sort of take a breath and go, okay, Sam either knows something, or Sam is secretly Jesse Colquhoun's agent and he has made sure the paperwork is all fine and he's getting the 5% commission. I knew that everything was in safe hands once you were sort of more confident about it, so I liked that. But now, if I remember the press release and the article correctly, only him and Blake of Blake Island are the only two Sharks squad members that are signed until 2030 or onwards. That's obviously a big tick of approval for Jesse as a coach's favorite.
Yeah, absolutely. And it shows that he's in it for the long haul. It shows that he will be part of the 17, if not starting 13, and they have high hopes for him. He may break into rep footy at some point. That's a lot of pressure for him at this point in his career, but there's a lot of hopes for this guy. But the main thing for us is he's just a powerhouse, big motor, and the world's at his feet because he's only played 29 games, I think. So there's been a couple of injuries. He did tell us on the show last year that he's not really injury prone. He just happened to have a couple of bad injuries, and that was it. So it's going to be a fun one to watch him grow. He's still pretty young. He is a bit of a Fitz junior and a bit of I think he was not a pet project for Fitz, but Fitz saw a lot of himself in him as a player. They've got the same sort of ethics, and they're both from down the South Coast, and there's a real synergy between the two of them, and that's why I was pretty confident he was going to stick around. I will say this, though, that my sources tell me that Perth came pretty hard. I don't know about the Newcastle side of things. There's a bit of reporting about that today, but Perth were legit. They were throwing years and money at him, and thankfully we were able to sway him. So I don't think it was as clear cut as maybe what I'd sold it to you before Christmas, but it was done before Christmas, and it's signed, sealed, and delivered. And Darren Mooney's got some quotes. He said his resilience, work ethic, and talent made him the most promising young forwards in the game. One of no secret that lots of teams were chasing him, but it says a lot about his character and the culture at our club that he recommitted on a long-term deal. And I think that's pretty important, Ben, to notice that a lot of these guys are sticking around wherever possible to play under Fitzgibbon and to play with this squad. Now, we did see a guy like Mawini Hiroti leave. He is leaving next year for the Titans, but he's hung on and on until he probably financially couldn't turn a team down. But there's a lot of guys sticking around, so we're in a pretty good spot.
Yeah, it's really interesting, and it's nice to see a player who has openly said, that he needed to show a bit of loyalty to the club back, because the club easily could have cut him or caught him injury prone or put him in the too hard basket and not sort of persevered as much as he persevered with his injury. And I like that that's been repaid, that maybe that was the difference between the Sharks offer and the Perth offer, that it was like, you know what, yes, I can uproot my life and go over to Perth and make the big bucks and get a really secure contract, but this club has backed me, which is always nice to see. And then, yeah, you were still seeing even players that have gotten the tap on the shoulder and are like, "Hey, we just can't have you here. You can look around if you need to." They're genuinely devastated to leave the club and the team off the field and on the field. Like players that are considering, oh, you know what, maybe I just give it up if I can't play for Cronulla, which is something like you and I would say because we're obviously Sharks loyalists. But like these are players that that it is a 9 to 5 job for them, but they're just still they really would love to continue to play for the club, and I think that says a lot, and I really like that.
Now, putting you on the spot, and you can change your mind as the months go ahead, but at this point in time, when Cam McInnes is fit and ready to go, so I'm assuming that'll be sooner than most people are thinking. I think it'll be within the first 5 rounds. I could be wrong, but I think he's going to be nice and early with that knee injury back, ready to play. Even allowing for that, say when he's back in the groove, who is your starting 13 for 2026 once they're both fit and ready?
My only look, my mind goes towards maybe Cam needs to start off the bench, but my only issue with that is that I don't see Cam as an impact player. He does the hard stuff. And I almost feel like that maybe he's there as the starting 13 to get through the first 20 minutes, 25, 30 minutes, just really sort of grind our way into the fight. And then when we do need someone for the rest of the game, then Jesse can come on. That's the only way that I sort of can make it work in my head. I just don't see Cam as an impact player that you'd bring on at the 60th minute when you need a bit of a spark. Maybe he's there as a bit of a as a utility if he does come off the bench at the 20th minute, and then if you do need Blake to have a bit of a break or someone else in the forwards, you need to sort of tinker with the side. That's maybe what you use Cam for. It's going to be a very interesting thing to watch once he does come back from injury. But it's one of those things where I would say Cam as a starter, but I don't know if it's not going to be a traditional sort of starting role. What do you think, Sam?
Oh, I agree with everything you just said, and I think it is a bit of an issue. It's not a bad issue to have, but I think that whilst he's not an impact player, and I agree with what you're saying, he does have that short, sharp 10-meter run in him, quick play the balls, that could be impactful in a different way to what you're thinking of, like a Tsukuhai Tupua or someone coming off and just destroying. It's a different kind of impact. So that could be a way to do it if he was off the bench. Otherwise, I don't really have an issue with like Jesse off the bench as long as he gets good minutes, you know? Like I'd probably prefer him in an ideal world to be an 80-minute player and really fall into that kind of Paul Gallen lock role with the ball skills and everything else. But he's only played 29 games. Maybe we ease him into it, and maybe that's how they look at Cam's at the moment. Last year, I think he's off contract, if I'm not incorrect. So, and where that's a whole other thing, whether they re-sign Cam or not, not sure. But yeah, there's a few different ways you could go with it, and I don't think they'd necessarily be wrong, result dependent. But I don't think in theory they'd be wrong whichever way you went. And it's also interesting just with Cam being such a pillar of the club, captain until Blake took over due to Cam's injury. We haven't got official word there what's going on. I'd assume you'd keep Blake on and maybe Cam is either co-captain or he's club captain. There might be a way to juggle that around. We'll wait and see on that. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. But the most important thing is that Jesse's locked up until 2030. And as you said, only him and Blake are going to be there at the moment in 2030. And I think that also suggests that there's going to be a bit of push for youth coming through, Ben, which we know there's quite a few guys coming through. And I'd assume by that time, we'll be seeing a lot of those guys play. It won't be this year necessarily, but, you know, we've got a bit of time before 2030. So it's pretty exciting stuff.
You say that, but it's 2026. Like, I mean, like we're you say that it's far away, but we'll blink and we're going to be here previewing round 1 of 2030 in no time. But I mean, it really does send a message to the current group. You know, if it hasn't been battered into their heads already, that like this is the time to strike. Like we had a great opportunity last year with the way that everything sort of sorted itself out for us to give it a red hot crack. But like, not everybody can stick around, and not everybody will be in their prime in a couple years' time. Like this is the time to do it. So, 2030 is actually not that far away, and there's going to be a real sort of, I wouldn't say a reset, or even a refresh, but there's going to be lots of fresh blood that are going to be making their way or forcing their way into the group sooner rather than later.
Yeah, and I think it will be gradual, but as you say, by the time that year comes around, I mean, this will be a new look team, and who knows what will be happening within the club and everything else. Anyway, we won't go there. But in fact, what we're going to do, Benny, is as a spoiler, on the next episode, you and I are going to be looking back, and so we're going to start a bit of what we think is going to be a series of looking back at the year that was 2016 that changed all of our lives. So we might wrap this up, and we'll hit record on that one for everyone to hear later on. But breaking news, Jesse Colquhoun signed a 4-year extension. Exciting stuff. Can't wait to see him run out. And until we talk to you later on, this has been SharkCast with Ben Harlum and Sam Shinazi. And we will talk to you soon. And congrats to Jesse and all involved.